Hello and welcome back to WD18, the Watford fan channel, and welcome to another match reaction, match analysis. It's your weekly feature here on the channel, Sunday evening. It's a bank holiday weekend. Nothing better to be doing than talking about Swansea City 1, Watford 1. No Jacob Culshaw today, unfortunately. I'm Sam Ucko and I'm joined by Charlie Zazzera. Charlie, before we get into it, how are you? Good week, first of all?
Not too bad. Not too bad. I had a good day off yesterday. Watched the football. Had a nice takeaway. What's your go-to takeaway?
To be honest, it depends on what mood I'm in for, to be honest with you. I feel like in the winter months, when I'm going for something more warming, I love an Indian. I love an Indian sort of in those winter months. In the summer, something a bit lighter. I'm a big sushi fan. Big sushi fan. So I think that's what I'd go for in the summer. What did you go for yesterday?
I don't know. It's just, one of those fancy kind of burger places that's quite new. Nice burger, like nice wings, milkshake, bit of a cheat day, but let's do it.
Love it. And we'll talk about who was cooking better, the chef from Charlie's Takeaway or Paolo Pezzolano yesterday. Because I think there were, while it finished Swansea 1, Watford 1 at the Swansea.com stadium, I'm still going to call it the Liberty Stadium. I think there were a lot of positives to take from that display yesterday. Before we get into it, though, if you're watching live, make sure to let us know your thoughts in the live chat. We'll try and get back to some of them as the video goes on. And make sure to like and subscribe to WD18. It's been a busy start to the season. We've been trying to bring back the instant match reactions as well, your weekly videos post-match, and hopefully some exciting content to come as well with going into the last week of the transfer window, which we'll touch on later on, because I think there are some areas that Watford do need to address. But Charlie, we didn't preview this. We did speak about it at the back end of the post-match pint video after our win against QPR last week, but throughout the week, how are you feeling going into this one before going into the starting 11? Were you thinking it was a game that, I know we're 2 games in, but we have to follow it up with another victory away from home? Was it more about the performance for you? How are you feeling about it going into it?
I think performance, which for the majority of the game, we got very early on in the season. Obviously, Irankunda was suspended, which is a massive blow for us after his red card against QPR. To be honest, I wasn't thinking about this game. I was just reveling in the QPR win for a good couple of days, and then looking at their result yesterday, sent a few messages to some pals, which has been enjoyable. So, saying that we need to back it up when we go to their place. So I wasn't thinking too much about it, but ahead of yesterday, I was like, good performance. Interested to see what shape we would go with, what changes we'd make, and I was a bit annoyed. Obviously, we conceded late on, but on the whole, I was pretty pleased. What was it like going there, early start, and what was the away end like?
Yeah, a really early start yesterday for the 12:30 kickoff. I think there are the pros and cons of the 12:30. It was nice to still get back and have the evening afterwards as well to enjoy Saturday night and that sort of thing. But yeah, it was leaving at about 6 a.m. for it was 5:30 wake up, so it was a tiring one, and I think you wouldn't be able to tell that from the Watford away end. I'm not sure how well you could hear it on TV, but the atmosphere was absolutely brilliant. I think again we saw, like we saw in the away game against Charlton, straight after the warm up, all the players came over and showed their appreciation to the supporters. Right before kickoff, Paolo Pezzolano did the same thing again. So and I think the general atmosphere in that away end yesterday was really good. And I think maybe because people are appreciating that this is such a young team with some exciting players, it was a patient away end as well. I think a couple of passes early on were a bit stray, a bit loose, but people were really patient, and I think are just really willing to get behind the likes of Irankunda, the likes of Irankunda, who were both excellent yesterday, and we'll talk about that. But just going on to the starting 11, we knew there would have to be one enforced change. With Irankunda getting sent off last week against QPR. I'm not sure if Watford did appeal it in the end or just decided it wasn't worth it. But regardless, Loser served the first game of his 3-match suspension. And there was some talk in the week, should Watford go back to the back 4 or stick with the back 3? If we do go with the back 3, do we keep Kyprianou back at centre-back and bring someone like Tom Dele-Bashiru into the middle of the park? In the end, it did stay as a back 3. If you're watching on the stream, you'll see Fotmob had our team here as 3 at the back, and it was that I think the only difference with with what happened versus what FOTMOB have up here is Alleyne was playing at centre back and Mark Boller was playing at left wing back, so to speak, with Kyprianou in the middle of the park. So it was one change with Imran Loser coming out for Max Alleyne making his full championship debut. Charlie, as expected, or were you thinking maybe he could go back to the 4 or bring Tondeli Bashiru in? I think it was as expected, bringing Alleyne in.
Really poor from FOTMOB there. No respect from a SofaScore fan. We've got the right team up there. I was really interested to see how Max Alleyne what it'd be like when he came in, and I'm interested. We'll talk about him in a bit more detail later, but to be honest, like I know there was a big talking point in terms of 3 at the back. Would we change? I think we've seen quite a lot of different things, like under Pezzolano, which shows he's not stubborn and he's versatile and he can move things up. I was interested to see how Max Alleyne got on, and like I think especially for an away day, if you look at that when you've got Bowler and Gakia as your wing backs, pretty solid defensively, maybe more kind of defensive than offensive instead of like a Ryan Andrews coming in. But good to see Caben and the bank were playing again. Caben was at the centre of the back. We'll talk about Kyprianou in more detail, but I thought he was outstanding, and I'm so glad that we had him in the middle of the park. Again, we'll talk in more detail about Sissoko and Kayembe, and good to see Irankunda playing. Your thoughts on Bar being on the bench second game in a row?
Yeah, I think we look so comfortable in the 3 at the back. I think from what we saw in those, we played 4 games now, 2 of them with 4 at the back. One against Charlton, and obviously the other one was against Norwich, which was a heavily rotated team. It was a heavily rotated team, but then the last 2 games against QPR and yesterday against Swansea, we played with the 3, and I just think we look so much more comfortable in that shape. I think the players with the ball at their feet look more like they know what they're doing. I think defensively we look a lot more secure in that as well, and I think other than Quadro Bar, which we'll talk about, we can talk about it now actually. I think Bar is probably the only player in this system who is struggling a little bit. I don't think we're getting the best out of him when he's coming on in a front 2, because I think he's best when he's on the touchline, isolating the fullback and using his explosive pace to get past defenders. So I think Quadro Bar is a player that we're going to have to learn to work in this system and fit into the system. But other than that, the no issues with the 3-5-2 for me. I think we look a lot better with it.
Sorry, Sam. Do you think? And I know we're jumping forward to it, and you might not have the answer, but fully strapped team, do you think we should stick with a 3-5-2?
Yeah, it's a really difficult one. Really difficult answer that, because what are things going to look like when Georgie Chatfatatse's back in attacking midfield? Quadro Bar's going to have to play. He's not, in my opinion, he's not just Watford's best and probably most influential player when he's at his best. He's one of the best players in the league as well. I look at someone like a Eze who's left Crystal Palace, and if Bar was fully fit last season, I think he could have been an option for a club like Crystal Palace to go in for. But I think he's going to have another season just making sure he stays fit and playing minutes. So it's a really difficult question. I think for what Watford have now, the 3 at the back is the best. But like you said, I mean, you're the tactical head, Charlie, here. But it is good to see an adaptable manager like this, that we can play with both 3 and a 4, a 5 at times as well. I mean, do you have a preference over any of them?
I think my instinct says 4, just because that leads to more attacking players on the pitch. And like you said, I want to see Bar playing. Can we have like a 4-2-3-1 with Georgie as the 10, Bar on the right, Irankunda on the left, and Kurum Guard with Hector and Luzo? That seems pretty strong in my eyes. Does that ruin the balance a bit more? Is Irankunda not as good on the left? We'll see when all those guys come back, especially Georgie. But I think, like you said, especially now when you look at the stats, we're one of the best teams in terms of the amount of XG we've conceded so far this season, 3rd or 4th. However, we're one of the 3rd and 4th worst teams for chances created XG-wise. So I think Paulo's doing what you should do, really, is kind of build the foundation from the ground up. And we've already had some challenges in terms of Matty Pollock not being fit. So I think defensively we do look. It was literally one moment of concentration that we lacked yesterday, and it wasn't just a banker's fault in my eyes. So yeah, I'm pleasantly surprised and pleased with what I've seen so far.
Yeah, and I think as well it's Watford being difficult to predict in terms of how we line up. I think will make things more difficult for the opposition as well. For example, last week I think we really threw QPR off by going with 3 at the back. I think they were expecting us to go with a 4, trained like they were about to play games 4 at the back, and I think it completely threw them off. So yeah, it is good to be adaptable, and I think Watford are showing that at the moment. But I thought Watford settled really well yesterday in the game in that first half. I thought it was interesting as well that we switched halves before we won the toss and decided to switch sides. I think this has been a bit more of a recurring theme away from home over the last 18 months since Moussa Sissoko has come back to the club. I'm not sure if that's something that he's instructed, but we're starting to see it a lot more. The Watford are trying to switch it over. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I'd rather Watford were shooting towards the away end. But no complaints from me yesterday, because behind the goal we got to see Nestor Irankunda score an absolute screamer. Before we get on to that though, Charlie, that first half an hour or so, happy? It was settled, wasn't it? I don't think too much happened, did it?
No, not a lot happened in the game. I was actually quite surprised by Swansea's approach. They were quite direct, which I always think of Swansea as a kind of tippy-tappy kind of side and moving the ball quickly. But yeah, I felt we dealt with them in the first half really easily, and we were the ones that were getting into the game. There was, I can't remember last time when Bowler got the ball on the left, he put a wicked ball in, and Irankunda got a good head on it, good save. That was really pleasing for kind of both aspects, having a striker that we can aim for, just one man in the box, and Bowler's quality on the left was great. But yeah, and then that free kick, which I thought he looked great from the first half. Do you know, like, I was thinking of a player who, like, he kind of reminds me of the way he plays. He's so small, got a low centre of gravity, he's so hard, such a wriggler, so hard to get the ball off. He kind of reminded me of Eden Hazard a bit. I know that's quite punchy, but just that type of player where just once you got the ball, he's so hard to get off him. And yeah, I thought he was like the standout player in the first half. Do you agree? And when we had that free kick, did you think he was going to do what he did?
That is a great comparison there with Eden Hazard. I think firstly, just going back to your point on the fullbacks there with Bowler's crossing, I think that's a real big strength of ours this season. I think from deeper areas, both Ngakia and Bowler are really strong at crossing those crossing areas. We both said, Charlie, that Ngakia's delivery is actually really good. Didn't have too many opportunities yesterday for it, but with Kirangard's height, I think we'll create plenty of chances from that this season. But yeah, I mean, straight away when he stepped up, I had a real sense of confidence that something was going to happen with it. And that's quite rare with Watford. I feel like we've not been good with free kicks. That's probably free kick number 4 or 5 in the last decade or so, which is insane. Since Daniel Toja left, Alan Abdi scored that free kick against Villa. Then we had that massive break until COVID. We didn't score another free kick for about 6 years, when Adam Messina scored in the last minute at Cardiff. Then Imran Loser scored away at Blackpool, and then obviously Chatfatadze last season on the first day against Millwall. So it's a rarity seeing Watford score a free kick. So to have that confidence is quite rare in a player, but maybe seeing his highlight reel a bit, and it was just the confidence that I thought was I just felt something was going to happen straight away. You picked up on it, Charlie, on Twitter, I saw actually. I want to come on to it in a second, Irankunda's actual technique, the one-step technique, but I want to talk about in the build-up as well, actually. Kirangard, that hold-up play was absolutely excellent. I don't think the extended highlights showed it. The way he brought the ball down originally, it might have been from a throw or it was fired into him. Can't remember too well. It was a difficult ball to control. He managed to bring it down, lay off to Kiembe. I can't work out if Kiembe was passing it to Irankunda to win the free kick or if it was an overhit touch. But regardless, won the foul and Irankunda did the rest, Charlie.
He did indeed. And like the one thing that really kind of caught my eye in terms of the goal was the kind of technique. And again, we've got it on screen here. And if you're listening on the on the podcast form, I'll try and describe it as best as I can. But on the screen here, what blew me away is kind of his run up or lack of run up. that's him kind of when he's starting, and look how close he is from the ball. It's kind of like a 1-2 step kick for a free kick, and it's like, how can you get the power that he needs to from the distance? Sometimes you see that maybe a bit more of penalties, but that's because you're not hitting it as far. But it's a kind of a 1 or a 2 step free kick. The technique there looks great. And then for me, like, this was the angle which really, really impressed me. This is kind of from behind the goal. Look at the ball, just ahead of the North Star. You can see how high it is from the goal, and how it's got kind of that kind of height, and it's already come down. And I don't even think it was kind of in the corner or like kind of right in the goal. It just like it was just hit with such kind of technique that he managed to get it up and down with such pace. But like that technique, I just thought was absolutely stunning. And yeah, I love him. It's taken him a couple of games, but he's been outstanding. I think whenever he's played, I thought he was the best player when he started against Norwich for us. QPR, he got that great assist and was good. He looks comfortable, coming different positions, and I just think he looks like a really great character. I don't know if you saw his interview yesterday. He's kind of raw. He's not full of cliches, and he's only 19, and we own him. So yeah, really, really glad to have him. And yeah, what was he like watching from the stand yesterday?
Yeah, I don't even think it was. You can take the free kick out of it. I think it's just general all-round play was so good. There were a couple of moments where he was able just to take on 2 or 3 Swansea players in relatively dangerous areas, where if Swansea had got the ball back and turned it over, they're in our half and we're facing our own goal. But the fact he had that bravery to take it on, sometimes it's not always going to pay off. But I love watching players like that. It's so exciting. I actually think that Eden Hazard comparison was brilliant. Really interesting because that low centre of gravity, I think, was certainly there. He's actually surprisingly strong as well. For someone who is relatively short, I can't talk myself, I'm tiny, but I'm not sure his exact height, but his upper body strength is brilliant. He's able to wrestle the ball back when he loses it as well. He works tirelessly. I mean, I hate to say, if he plays like this all season, he won't be a Watford player next season. He is that good, genuinely. And my gut feeling is that won't be the last free kick we see him score this season as well. It is just mental as well. That I know you can't read too much into social media and everything, because I think we see a lot of reactionary stuff on there, myself included on that. But of his cameo against Deportivo in his 15 minutes he had against Charlton, people were writing him off already, which was absolutely nuts. If you look at the last 2 games, how good he's been, how influential he's been, and yeah, I think he's fantastic, and I think he'll be amazing for us this season as well. All round, the Charlie, a good half. I think there was a slight frustration in the way, is the wrong term, because we'd gone in a 1-0 winning, but it could have been more. Kieran Guy had a really good header that the keeper made a really good save from. It looked like it was going to dip in, but then it hit the bar and went over. From the resulting corner, I'm not sure if it was something worked on or if Ngaki just scuffed it and it sort of rolled on the floor, flicked up, and I think Cabango managed to get it off the line. A little bit frustrating that we didn't almost. I felt that when we went 1-0 up, we didn't put our foot down, and I felt like if we did, we could have gone in even more 2 or 3-0 up, because we were all over Swansea at that point. Yeah,
I'm just checking. Irankunda scored in 35 minutes, so we had 10 minutes, and we definitely felt like our kind of tails were up. And although Cabango's made an outrageous defensive clearance, it definitely wasn't worked on. There was a poor corner which managed to literally go across the goal line, and I just think Kurumgard didn't expect it, and he got his chest, and I don't know, could he have been quicker to throw his body head it? But no, I think let's give some credit to the keeper. But yeah, it felt like it was all us, and we had the confidence, and we were in control. And to be honest, Sam, I felt like that was kind of how we approached the second half as well. I'll just quickly get the momentum bar out. It might be for the first time this season, but I just think it was a good time to do it. So you can see it here, Watford in the blue. We get a goal. This doesn't really show, but I felt like we did have the better. But look how we came out the traps in the second half here. Really, really strong. I can't remember too many good or clear-cut chances in the second half, but we just looked like the far superior team, more confidence. And then I was like, hello, are we going to put in like a complete performance here? Not to be. And I'm putting that down to the substitutions, which really changed the game. What did you think?
Yeah, I agree with you in terms of that half. Well, we started the second half quite well. If you're able to watch the full game back somewhere, watch our kickoff in the second half. I don't think I've ever seen a Watford team do that in my lifetime, where straight away we got the ball. I think it was passed back to Kayembe on the edge of the centre circle, who passed it forward straight away on the floor. And we were basically, it was a sort of 4-against-4 situation straight away in the half. And that was really, really good to see. I think Irankunda had an effort from quite far out. That was really good to see as well. A Watford striker sort of taking those efforts from quite far out and getting involved in the build-up. But yeah, you're right, Charlie. I think the changes were slightly enforced in some cases. Irankunda, obviously, his hamstring was. Luckily, he seems to be okay, but he was definitely feeling it, and there was no point in risking him in that situation. It's a long season ahead with a lot of games, and while it would have been good to have him out there, just wasn't worth the risk. I think Ngakia looked absolutely cooked by 60, 70 minutes. I think he had another good game in Ngakia, other than that last 5-10 minutes when he was on, and you could tell he was finished. But other than that, I mean, I'm trying to remember what the subs actually were. So obviously, Bar for Irankunda, Andrews for Ngakia. Who else came on? Semedo. Semedo looks really off it, I think. He just wasn't sharp at all.
Yeah, so on 58, Bar came on for Irankunda, and then on 78, double sub with Semedo and Andrews coming on for Ngakia and Irankunda, and then Morris on 87 for Kayembe. But I do think there are two teams playing, and I think their subs improved them a lot. They had a lad called Marko Simic, who's from Nottingham Forest, who I've never really heard of, but I thought he was really good when he came on. And then they kind of brought their striker on, who went on to score, he's a natural striker. I think they were playing Cullen up front, who's like a centre midfielder, so I'm not too sure why they're persisting with that. But yeah, the subs. I mean, when I was watching the game and I was thinking, do you know what? Like from Pezzolano, I think tactically he's done really well here, and I'll talk about in possession and out possession in a bit. I just thought those subs were wrong again. Similar kind of feeling to the Charlton game. I thought that game we did have control, but then we completely lost control again, like we did with the Charlton game, and that was kind of. I don't know. I just thought Semedo, like you said, just compared to Irankunda,
I can't believe he picked Semedo over Doumbia as well. That really shocks me.
Yeah, especially with Doumbia starting against Charlton, and again, what I mean. He did well when he came on against QPR, and Semedo just looked like he couldn't do much, and he didn't look good against Norwich. So that was a strange one. And he just must really not fancy Tomdeli Bashiru at all, because that was a game that towards the end, we just had no out ball. We were just kicking it and it was like wave. And someone like Tomdeli, he might be low on confidence, but he's the right profile of someone who can get on the ball, do you know what I mean, take the sting out of it, just pass it around a bit. And we just didn't have that at all. So
I think actually we've got to mention Rocco Vata came on. I actually think Vata did quite well when he came on. I think he looked lively and he was that one outlet that we had, because I think Semedo wasn't doing too much, and when we needed someone to come forward, and Bar was marked out the game completely. I just don't think this shape suits him at all. I think Vata was that out ball for us yesterday, but you're right. I think that central midfield spot needs to be addressed, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'll quickly bring up what I kind of had a look, and again, I didn't watch the game back. So this is kind of off the top of my head. So if I'm miles off it, just let me know. But I want to kind of talk about the good and the bad, really. In terms of the good, I thought our out of possession shape was really, really good. And when they were building up, it's kind of that we had 5 at the back, or it turned into a 4 with Ngakia pushing up. And we had the 2 kind of strikers, and they were building up, and they would either kind of come round this way or that way. And I thought our press was really, really good. So whether that's Irankunda going there, and then it'd move on, and then you'd have Kayembe jumping out here, or if they moved it around this way, and Sissoko coming around here. And like, although leaving huge spaces in the middle, I'll get on to kind of I'll get on to Cipriano in a bit, but I just thought our press was really good and they couldn't really break us down. And out of possession, I thought we were great. And if they tried to move it down here, our fullbacks would jump up. And I thought kind of defensively we couldn't give them a sniff. So I thought Pezzolano in that sense was really, really good. Before I go to in possession, do you agree with what I said? Is that kind of, did you feel like we were quite secure defensively yesterday, especially out of possession?
I think so, yeah. And we'll talk about Max Alleyne in a bit, but I think the three of them really complemented each other quite well. But also, yeah, you touched on it just now there. And I'm not sure if last year in the first international break, we did a video which was 5 things we've learned about Watford so far this season. I think one of my big concerns so far is while our press has been quite good, particularly in these last 2 games, other than Cipriano, I just think our midfield is so easy to bypass. The gaps in the middle are so big at times, and it's just so easy for players to turn around. I think, how do I say it? Galbraith? For Swansea, I think he got their man of the match yesterday. 3rd game in a row, he's got it for them in every game so far. Was brilliant at Orient last season, but I just felt at times he had so much space. Now, I don't actually think that's necessarily Kayembe, Sissoko or Cipriano's fault. I imagine that's them being told with the way to press, but I think it's something that's got to be addressed because as good as Cipriano is, we can't expect him to be doing all of it in the middle of the park.
Yeah, and I've got a theory of why this was kind of the midfield, and this is kind of in possession and how we were building up. And like I said, we'll get to Alleyne, but I think we've been trying to bring them on and do these short passes among the back. And I thought Alleyne yesterday was the main out ball, and I think simply because he's from the Man City Academy, he's got kind of that quality pass. And he was on the ball a lot. I think he had the most touches of any player, along with maybe Mark Bowler. And considering he played less minutes, it just shows. And I think that the reason that we've got Kayembe and Sissoko at the minute, especially this game, is the way we want to play in terms of how we want to move up the pitch. We haven't got a loser to kind of go through the thirds. And we were very direct, and we have been direct, I think, this season, playing quite a lot of long balls. I think we played, again, similar, I think, like 3rd most long balls after Wrexham and Sheffield Wednesday this season. And I think the reason Sissoko and Kayembe are in there is for that physicality and so that we can play long, and we've got like these big boys up front as well as Irankunda to kind of hold it down. But I didn't see much kind of going through Cipriano. I mean, I thought he was great, but I did think we were direct, and Alleyne did play a lot of balls, some of them successful, some of them not. But that's how I kind of saw our build up, and that's why I think Sissoko and Kayembe were in there. Before we go into details about the midfield dynamic, what did you think about Sissoko and Kayembe yesterday?
So yeah, it's a difficult one. Kayembe started the game really shakily. I think in that first 15 minutes, we were building up, like you say, from the back really, really well, and the ball would be fizzed into Kayembe in the middle. I think the intention a lot of the time is play those one-touch passes into Irankunda or Kiramgard to hold it up, and that's how we progress through the thirds quickly. But I think he was just missing the mark so many times in that first 15, 20 minutes. After that, he did relatively well to calm down. On the ball, I did think both of them were quite good. I just think off the ball again, it's so easy to get past them. And again, I'm not sure if that's their fault or if it's because of the shape that we're playing and the press. I think it's so easy to bypass them. What I did like though off the ball was the runs forward that they were making, trying to take defenders away as well to open up that space for Irankunda and Kiramgard as well. So I think the pros and cons as well. Again, I think we need to upgrade in that area. I think we need to bring in a player who can start, because I think the idea is right there, but the execution is really, really close to being there. I just think it might be a case of quality or in there as well. But I know you were a big fan of Cipriano yesterday, Charlie. And I think there's an argument. I know it's 3 games in, but been our best player across the 3 games so far, you could argue.
Yeah, I think so. And like before we talk about him, I was just looking at the duel stats yesterday. Cipriano won 9 out of his 16 duels yesterday, most of any player, joint with Irankunda actually. And then if you drop down, Sissoko won 5 out of 10, and Kayembe won 1 out of 9 duels yesterday. And Kayembe lost possession more than any player. So that shows that that's another reason I think we're lacking kind of getting that control, is because when the ball's in the middle of the park, we're not winning those seconds or thirds, or we're not keeping hold of it. And then, yeah, in terms of Cipriano, I thought he was our best player yesterday. I thought he was exceptional. I've got on the screen here kind of the average positions. These are the players that started. And this Watford shape's actually quite nice if you look at that. But yeah, if you just look at Cipriano's heat map, he's just a beast. Like, he's an absolute machine. He's absolutely everywhere on the pitch. Did not stop running. He's got real intelligence as well. He got booked again, but like, he doesn't rush into tackles. He's smart. He's good on the ball. And I think for me, he's got to be playing in midfield for us, because I know he did a job for us in the defence yesterday, but I think that takes away so much from his game. And I think he's, that championship midfielder we've all been crying out for, like a Grimes or a
in years, yeah.
Wallace. Like, he came from League One, but he is that good. And like, looking at his age profile, he was worth the wait. I think he's going to be, like, I didn't think he'd be this good, but he's been excellent. The fact that he's still, 22, 23?
Yeah.
You could definitely see him getting the captain's armband at one point. If we could keep hold of him for another 3 or 4 years, he's going to be a stunning player for us. And when I had the tactics board up then earlier and looking at kind of Sissoko, Kayembe's position, we only managed to not get completely ripped apart because of Cipriano's kind of way to get around the pitch. I want to call him Hector N'Golo in Cipriano, because he's just absolutely everywhere. And the thought of having him next to a loser who is more quality on the ball really, really excites me. And with a Georgie in front of him, that could be a really, really perfect dynamic to our midfield. But I think the only way that we got away with it yesterday in terms of having Kayembe and Sissoko out of possession was having Cipriano, because he did 3 men's job in a midfield by 1 player.
The Kip has taken to Watford like a duck to water. He's been absolutely brilliant. Before we talk about things more generally, like I said earlier in the video, make sure to like and subscribe. We're also partnered with Hertfordshire Mind again this season. Another goal yesterday to add to our total for the month of August. Is the Southampton game in August, or is it the 1st of September?
I think it's the 30th.
30th.
I think
so. One more game before we make our first donation of the season. If you want to get involved as well, please make sure to do so. The link is in our description that you can check out now if you want to. The goal conceded. I think it was coming. The Swansea started to turn the screw, and I think it was a case of sloppy defending, wasn't it, Charlie?
Yeah, and lots of people, like, it doesn't look good on a Banqua, and he was a bit flat-footed. But again, like, when I saw kind of there was a ball down the channel and it was Kayembe who was kind of running back, and I was just like, get tight, don't let the cross come in, don't let the cross come in. The cross went in, and although Banqua was on his feet, and I know I'm a bigger Banqua fan, who I think, again, Cabenz looks better than him this season, which is a really exciting prospect. I'm giving a bit of credit to the striker. I think to get in front of your man and to guide it with not a lot of room, I thought it was an outstanding header. And I'm trying to get up how many shots on target they had, because I think they had that one. Selvik made a good save at the end, didn't he? But apart from that, I thought we kept him at bay. They had 2 shots on target, so that header and that save at the end. So although they got more control of the game and they were pressing on I don't think they were battering the door down. And that goal, steam wasn't coming out my ears. It didn't rattle me too much, because I thought that's a great header and fair play. Because on the whole, I thought our back 3 were pretty good all game. Do you think? Am I being too kind?
I think the high standards that Banqua has set himself, I think he's got to be doing better there, to be honest with you. I'm not going to be too critical of of a banquet in this case because of how good he's been for us. And like you say, I think credit has to go to the striker. It's a really, really good header. It's a proper striker's header. It makes you wonder why Cullen was playing up front for them for so long in that game. And I sort of slightly worry to think about what would happen if the striker was playing for the entirety of the game as well. I think we saw a bit similar last week as well against QPR. I'm not sure who was playing up front for them, but immediately when Richard Kone went on, I think he had a couple of chances that I slightly worry if he was at his best playing the whole game, what could happen. And I think next week against Southampton, which we'll touch on at the end of the video, it's going to be something to keep an eye on in terms of it's going to be a busy day for our centre-backs, for the strikers in front of them. And they have been busy so far, but up until yesterday, I don't think there's been many occasions where we've been fully backs against the wall for a prolonged period like we were for 5 or 10 minutes yesterday. Even against Charlton, I don't think they were necessarily peppering our goal. I think it was a case that they were just waiting for that set piece that they eventually got in the end and capitalised from. So, yeah, unfortunately, it did end 1-1. Egil Selvik made a fantastic save as well to keep it the score level as well. So, yeah, I mean, Paolo Pezzolano said to Adam Drury as well yesterday, I'm paraphrasing here, that the first hour was really good. The last half an hour less so. I think that's what most Watford fans would agree with. But Charlie, was a point a fair result?
Can we talk about Max Alleyne first? Because
we can talk about Max Alleyne. Of course we can.
Considering it was his first start in a professional game, I thought it was excellent. And most notably, like the speed of his pass. Like a lot of first-time passes, trying to move things up. Normally at this level, you see players get the ball, touch the ball, turn, look up. And by that time, they've got someone on them, or the gaps and the distances are all wrong. But really liked his passing. He had the most touches of any player yesterday, most accurate passes of any Watford player. He won 6 out of 6 duels as well. So he's doing the dirty 3 in the air and 3 on the ground. Most passes into the final third, and six accurate long balls, joint most with Selvik. So I tweeted it, and quite a few people said they didn't agree with my view and say some of the passes didn't work. And there was that moment in the second half where I don't know if he lost sight of the ball, but it kind of went over him and their player didn't adjust and just landed in Selvik's hands. So what did you make of his game?
I liked him. I liked his performance for very different reasons that you mentioned. I hate bringing this up, but I remember Matty Pollock's first game against Millwall, where it was his first. It wasn't his first professional game, but his first game for Watford in the Championship, a difficult place to go, and he made two bad errors that ultimately cost us 2 goals. He's picked himself up from that, but I think it just shows a game like that how difficult it is coming into the Championship on your first game at centre half. And I thought Alleyne just looked so composed yesterday. But what I liked about the performance overall was the no nonsense element of it. I think at times it would be very easy for him to try and play from coming through the Man City Academy. You mentioned the amount of passes he made. I think at times it would have been easy for him to try and be over elaborate and get caught out. But he hoofed it when he needed to hoof it, rose-ed when he needed to be rose-ed. And I think over the years, particularly with Ryan Porteous at centre-back, even when Wesley Hoot was there, at times we conceded a lot of goals just from Watford not doing the easy thing and the safe thing, which isn't always glamorous, and it is frustrating when we keep on turning over possession and giving it back to the opposition for a throw or a corner. For someone making their first game yesterday, their first professional full match in the Championship, I think that's exactly what you need, and I thought he was really impressive for that reason yesterday, Max Alleyne. So, yeah, I mean, keep him in for next week, surely, wouldn't you? Unless someone substantial comes in, you'd keep him in for Southampton.
Yeah, I think so. He's deserved it, in my opinion. We've been linked with a few centre-backs, haven't we? As long as David Cameron Warren was not making up any more rumours. I really liked his performance. And going back to your original question, did we deserve it? I think we were well worthy of the point, and I think we'll take it. I do think if the game lasted another 10 minutes, perhaps
I worry if it had gone on for any longer, to be honest.
It was 100 minutes still. What was it? 9 minutes on. So, yeah, I thought it was a. Here's a question for you: what was the best performance of our first 3 games?
I think it was actually yesterday, or at least that first 60 minutes. I think we're yet to see a 90-minute collective performance. I think for QPR, the first 44 minutes were brilliant. Yes, last week against QPR until we conceded, and the second half was just a case of making sure we hold on to the 3 points. I think Charlton was. I mean, it's too early to call it an anomaly, but it's completely different to what we've seen in any of the games so far. Obviously, Norwich was a write-off as well, but I think for 60 minutes yesterday was, for now, until Chat for Tatsy's back, I think that this is what we're going to see a lot of the time, and I think we're starting to see it work. I think we're getting the best out of Irankunda, who was brilliant again yesterday. It's good to see a striker as well that even when he's not scoring goals, is able to do more as well. I'm a big fan of him. I've spoken about him a lot on this video already, but
is he on your mind?
He's always on my mind, and he's scoring all the time. Yeah, I think yesterday the first 60 minutes was our best. What about you so far?
Yeah, I think I agree with you. Although the QPR game was obviously my favourite, but I think Swansea are a level up opposition, especially when you look at QPR yesterday. So yeah, really pleasing. And I had a note about like what we learning, what's our identity, and it's going to be so interesting to see when we're fully fit. I still think we'll play with a back four if we've got Loser and Chatvidazzi playing, and I think that lineup's making me salivate thinking of Irankunda, Bar, Georgie in the 10, Irankunda on the left. Maybe I'm miles off it. Maybe it's just one of those fans thing that you look like you're getting all the best players. But I just think it's quite encouraging to show that Petzolano can adapt. Because like even at the Charlton game and even Norwich game, we had inverting fullbacks, didn't we, when we had a back four, and we haven't seen any of that at all. So yeah, early days, lots different, but I am a lot more pleased than I thought I'd be.
100%.
And to tell you what, I'm quite surprised at, in all honesty, especially with the Norwich game, watching close up Pezzolano interact with the players or try to interact with the players and worrying a bit about his language and how much they're understanding him. But he is obviously getting his message across, which is really pleasing.
Yeah, I think it's a lesson in patience. Just thinking back to my comments after Charlton, just straight away from what I'm saying. I mean, again, we're not going to talk about it now because it's a positive vibes today. But again, it's just a case of the culture at Watford. I think generally that bad result, bad performance, you're going to be fearing things, and we just need to give it a bit of time, I think. And yeah, I think we'll see some positive things throughout the season. Something that did annoy me yesterday, if I'm going to bring out a negative. First of all, I actually think our shithousery on the whole was quite good. Swansea fans were absolutely fuming at full time with Watford players rolling around on the floor, taking our time over set pieces. I think that was actually good to see. We haven't seen enough of that from Watford in the last few years, and I think it helped us take the sting out of the game. I think we recognised it was going to be difficult for us to win the game at that point. Let's take a point and get out of there. I think that was a wise decision from us, but a couple of basics really annoyed me. I'm not sure if they were both picked up on the TV, Charlie, but firstly, 2 foul throws, absolutely pathetic. I think one was in Ngaki. I'm not sure who the other one was. Kayembe, that should not be happening at this level. Awful. And the other one was we had the opportunity to quickly break upfield while Swansea were in our end, but we had to retake free kicks because of rolling balls. One was a bank one, I think one was Selvik, and that was, again, just basics, which really annoyed me yesterday. But something that's going to have to be ironed out.
Tell you what annoyed me yesterday?
Go on.
Referees with arm tattoos.
I think it was the same ref actually as well at Charlton that we had.
It was. Oh, it was.
It was. Go on, Charlie. Give us a run.
No.
I swear if we have this ref again, honestly.
When I saw him rocked up in his tight purple referee top with his tattoos all on his, not quite sleeves, but he'll probably have a sleeve by the next game. Busy, giving fouls for absolutely everything. How have we got him straight after the Charlton one when he's had 2 really bad decisions in the Charlton game? He should be in the National South.
I know. Sort it out, PGMOL. Come onto our pod. Have a chat with us. Was Valon Barami in the dugout yesterday, actually? I couldn't see
he wasn't in the dugout. He was on the, like, you have all the subs and you have the back stand. Although I don't know who it was. I've seen him before, so I think he's been at the club for a while. But somehow he managed to get booked from behind the subs, slagging off the ref or something.
We also had, and I think it was So I think the goalkeeper coach as well got into trouble because we've seen this again. We've seen this happen in pretty much every game so far. The goalkeeper coach keeps running around behind Selvic's goal, around from the dugout and running behind the goal. We saw it as well against Norwich. I'm not sure if you picked up Charlie Garrido running onto the other side of the pitch and giving instructions from the other side. I suppose it's Paulo's rule-breaking Hornets.
Yeah, we're seeing some South American antics, aren't we? Very
a lot of them.
Very Bielsa.
Yeah,
we're seeing a few Bielsa-isms, aren't we, as well, with
we are
crouching down. But if it means that we're winning, I don't care. And yeah, I don't mind the Chattels thing. It's interesting, kind of switching ends and stuff like that. And I think Watford have been too soft from down the years, and we've been on the other end of getting rattled ourselves. So don't mind a bit of narc.
100%. I agree with you. But 4 points from these the first 3 games. It's a really difficult game against Southampton next week before we go into the international break. They lost to Stoke yesterday, but I think if you offered me 4 points from these first 3, I think I would have taken it. To be honest, knowing that maybe 5 would have been nice.
Against Charlton, you want a bit more, don't you?
Yeah, that is true. But I mean, I think the encouraging thing for me is I think we've seen through each performance. Again, Norwich aside, I think we've built on it each week, and hopefully next week. I feel like as well the level of opposition have gone up. No disrespect to Charlton or QPR. They both gave us difficult games, but I feel like each one has been the next step up, and Southampton's going to be a big step up. But I think it's going to be a really good test to see where this Watford team are at going into the first international break. And it's also the last week of the transfer window, Charlie. I imagine that there could be another video coming from us this week talking about the end of the window. Keep your eyes peeled for that. But what do you think could happen this week? Incomings, outgoings. We've been linked to a lot of centre-backs. Another one today was a high-end from Blackburn. We were linked with, who was it from Ipswich? The centre-half from Ipswich.
Wolfendane?
Yeah,
I don't know too much about it.
And then, of course, there was a couple of rumours going around last week on Popov and also centre mid in Lovrich as well. Although Lovrich has played for Udinese this week and has been named their vice captain, so I'm not sure if that one's going to happen. But Charlie, incomings, outgoings, I think it's pretty much becoming quite clear that they're looking for Tom Daly to move on at the moment. He's been frozen out a bit as well.
Well, he's still on the bench, so he's not completely in the bomb squad, but yeah, I think the one that I was really looking forward to seeing, I don't know if it's going to happen, that Udinese lad looks like he's got a bit of pedigree, and for a game like yesterday, he would have been perfect, exactly what we needed. But yeah, it's all gone a bit quiet there. I think Adam kind of was saying things change, so maybe they're a bit more confident that something was going to happen, and now it's not. And I think we are going to bring in a midfielder and a centre half. That's what looks like he wants to do. So fingers crossed that they're going to be good upgrades. Interesting, the last 2 players linked. When I looked at Blackburn's kind of response to the players that they've been let go, they were not this internet connection. Are we still there, Sammy?
I'm still here. I apologise. Can you hear me now? I'm like just froze for 1 second there.
Back.
We're back. We apologise about that. I think it's a Wi-Fi glitch there, it going on in the background. But we'll quickly wrap up the video. I think, Charlie.
50 people waited around for us. Jesus.
I know, fair play. We appreciate that a lot.
Sorry,
I think we'll try and touch on Southampton a bit more during the week, and talk about some transfers, hopefully. But Charlie, do we quickly want to get up the WD18 Prediction League, which we have been taking more seriously this season?
If you've got it there, feel free. Have you?
I can try and share my screen here. We'll go with this here. Can we see this? It's just coming through now. There we go. So as we can see from yesterday, I know we didn't go through Jacob's prediction on the stream last week, but Jacob went with a Watford 2-1 win at Swansea. I went with 2-2. Charlie went with a 3-3, meaning we both got a point each, meaning we are sat like this at the moment on with the league table. Charlie sitting comfortably at the top on 5 points with 1 correct score against QPR and 2 outcomes so far. Jacob and I both level on 2 points each with 2 correct outcomes. Charlie, I think Jacob went with a 2-1 Watford win next week against Southampton, which 100% we would all take. I love it from Jakey. He'll hopefully be back for a stream soon. Charles, what are you going to go with?
I'm going to go with Watford 1, Southampton 1.
Love it. And I was actually thinking the same. I don't want to copy you, Charlie. So
got to get there quicker, lad.
Yeah, they're a good team, Southampton. And I think yesterday they won a reaction from yesterday. I don't want to say that Watford are going to lose, but I think just to vary it up, I'm going to go with Watford 1, Southampton 2. I think they're a really good side, Southampton, and could cause us some problems. But we'll try and go into some more detail during the week if we have time. But if not, Charlie, it's been a pleasure as always. And another week goes by, another week for training for Paolo's Tricky Hornets in the promotion push this season. Make sure to like and subscribe to W18. Check out Hertfordshire Mind, doing some fantastic stuff at the moment in the community. Join our initiative, £1 for every goal that Watford scored this season. So another one to the tally. Make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you all soon for another video. Up the Hornets.